I think a lot of people actually make a conscious decision not to scale their business because they are believing the myth about scaling a business also equals more work. And most people who start the business wants more freedom.
So today's episode, we're going to talk everything about what it takes to actually grow in revenue in your coaching business, and specifically looking at, as an example, what does it take in terms of effort to earn 10,000 euros a month compared with 20,000 euros a month? And what does it take to earn 20,000 euros a month compared with 40,000 euros a month? And if we are thinking about the future, there is something called fear of success that strikes most coaches. And most coaches that we talk to, there is a cap on how much impact I can create without working myself to death. And then there's going to tipping point where I'm going to experience that, okay, can't do anything more. Now I've reached my limit and I can't put in the hours. And that's not what it is about. In your experience, what would you say is the most common belief that you hear when it comes to growing your business?
Well, it depends on where you are, I would say. It depends on where you are. I would actually frame it this way. Less people would start the business if they had an idea how much they needed to do in the beginning. Because I think most people have the idea of, like, when I run my business, I can decide over my own time. I got more freedom and all of these things. And the fact is that when you're starting the business, everything is new. You're overwhelmed constantly and you are confused. You don't know what to do. And everything is like, I would say that the word we hear the most for new coaches is the word struggle. When people are getting through the first stage of getting their business to work, being able to live on their business, they're getting to the first 5 to 10K month. And it's struggle or hustle to get there. You don't need to do anything pretty to get to 10K month. You just need to be able to want to work. And as you say, don't dabble, just dive in and do stuff.
Yeah.
And getting to the, doubling up to 20K month is literally about doing everything you do, but do it better.
Yeah.
Be more efficient in what you do. Do the things, but be better at sales calls, have a better price point, have better lead gen, have better content, have better at everything you do.
Better conversion rate and more efficient funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so growing from 10 to 20K is basically the same work, but more efficiently. Same hours, same everything, but without having to complicate it with the learning phase as you do it. So the first 10K month, you need to learn as you go forward. Takes a little bit more effort. When you have the 10K month locked down, what comes next is that you grow from 10 to 20 by simplifying, making it better price point, better conversion, more efficient call generation, which means you're booking more calls, more effective lead gens, clearer language so that you attract more people with the same kind of effort. So from that point, 10,000 euros a month, 20,000 euros a month, our average for our clients is 24 hours of work a week for both marketing, sales, and delivery. Now, how can we get to 24 hours a week to get that outcome up to 20,000 euros a month? It's by doing it the right way and learning how to do that. Once we go above 20K and maybe 20, 25, you can still do the same thing. But to reach 30,000 euros a month, you need to have a more sophisticated system, something that helps you to grow your business. So let's kind of pivot into that for a second and dig into what that means to start systematizing.
Well, I think the first step before we get to systematizing is adding strategies to the funnel that are taking care of not just one-on-one sales, but one-to-many sales.
Yeah.
So we can have more people coming through. You'll probably add that in the 10 to 20K.
As well, yeah.
So you've been you can handle more at the same time. So you don't need to, you can just be more efficient with your time spent.
Yeah.
So if we start looking at systems, it's definitely about, at some point, if you still want to scale, you probably want to outsource. And you can't outsource things that is not in a structured manner. You need to have a system for how you do things, an SOP, how do you do things? You need to have a way to measure and track that if things are being done so you can be able to give it away.
Yeah.
So we need to have like structures for how do we do things. If I'm not going to do the things, if someone else needs to do it, how do we do it? In my business, how do we do this thing? How do we do this thing? How do we do this thing? So we need to have structures.
And how do you get to that point?
Well,
you get to that point by really learning how it's done.
Yeah.
So because you can't outsource and give away what you don't own. No. One of the biggest mistakes that the coaches make in today's market is hiring people to do the stuff that they feel is either boring or hard, to do it for them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if that works, it's only because of luck.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Because you need to be the main navigator and you need to know what it is that makes your people move. More importantly, if you don't own it and you do find someone that can help you, if they go away, you don't have a business anymore. Which means that it's more their business than it's your business, even if you own the business.
Yeah. And it's actually very important because a lot of things, like when people get stuck in, oh, it's too much hustle, I would just want to give the marketing away. Can I just have someone to give me clients? Like,
yeah. Or provide me with sales calls. And we've talked about that in the last episode.
So we don't need to get in there, but that's really important.
Yeah.
So we need to have structures, clear structures in what we do. And then we can start adding systems to, well, there's a lot of systems that we can add. So if we're looking into lead gen, we can start making sure that we are boosting, because now we have money, so we can start boosting, we can start running ads, so we start like getting more leads in. And that means we also need to handle more leads. Of course, we can outsource, but we can also start using tools like having our CRM system, having a mini chat that actually start chat sequences. Yeah. So we can automate a lot of the processes can be automated. If we have calendar systems, we have the CRM system, there's a lot of, in the emails, there's a lot of things that we can start to automate, systematically take out us needing to do it manually. So we would definitely be doing those kind of things. And that means that if we want to keep scaling from this point, I think in the beginning of the business, a lot of people are looking at when they're at about 5-10K a month, a lot of people have the belief that in order for me to make more, I need to create more.
Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite. Because people start believe that, oh, I just need to have more offers or more niches and start spraying themselves out. And every time we see someone starting adding a new niche, oh, I just have another niche. I just have 2 niches. We know none of them are going to go well because you can't focus on 2 different things. Scaling means simplifying. You actually need to make everything so simple that it can't go wrong. You have one way of doing it, one funnel, one way of like lead gen, one way of like, you really want to have these simplified processes that work and scale those by adding more money into those, adding more people into, doing more of that.
Yeah. So if we were to simplify it, what I would say is that we need to recognize a couple of things first. First, we need to plan. We need to have an idea. Crucial to be able to start working. Not crucial to follow the plan, but it's important to have a plan. Because having a plan sets a goal and gives you an aim. Once we are starting to navigate towards that, in that jungle, towards that kind of goal, what we start to realize is that we need to sidestep slightly and we need to go around some stuff to get to the end destination. So important to have a plan, not as important to follow it, like be ridiculously obsessed about following the exact steps that I thought beforehand. The next step is deep dive, go into work, immerse into your business and work. And you know you're doing that step the right way when you feel slightly insulted, which means you're working really hard, not really getting the results or the outcome that the work like deserves. So that's the next step. Third step is that you're starting to see a momentum. In that momentum, we realize that things are actually starting to go in for me. When we can see signs of momentum, we need to double down on what works. So we need to work hard on what works. And that's when systematizing or structuring the business comes in, because the next phase is crucial for future survival, because then we need to build something we call stability. And the stability phase is all about making sure that we are preparing for a future breakthrough. And that breakthrough When that happens, which means when the market understands that there is something over here that everyone is running to, I'm going to run there as well. If we don't have our structures in place, if we don't know how to handle certain these situations that occurs in a business, what happens if a client sends this kind of email? What happens if we get 10 new clients in a week? How do we onboard them? What happens if someone at the office gets sick? Or what happens if my VA stops working? We need to have a structure for how things are done so that we can replace it, so that when that breakthrough happens, we can not just survive it, but actually benefit the most from it. So when we get that stability phase and when we see that breakthrough, when that breakthrough happens, it means that we can then start working more on our business in terms of main navigation, continuous. So what is ahead? We do that in the stability phase as well. When we create structure, we're working on our business. But when we get that breakthrough, then is when we really need to stand by the rotor or the big wheel by the boat. I don't know if that simplified it, but I would say that is the way that I would break it down. To wrap this episode up and to just give something of like something juicy for you and to understand, making 10,000 euros, 20,000 euros, and 30,000 euros a month, it's kind of the same effort. And when we're getting above 30, here's the raw truth. You can work hard and earn 1 million euros a year just by working like a crazy person, but know that it doesn't make sense to do that because you can't get to 3 million a year by just you alone working hard. You can't. It won't happen.
No, so I think like what gets easier and easier is how to get yourself out of the work. So you can actually, because if we look at how we're working right now, I would say I probably have a 20-hour work week.
Yeah.
Actively right now.
Yeah.
And we are making more money than
99% of coaches.
Yeah. So you can definitely.
We absolutely. And yeah, sure, we are two people. So let's say that it's one person working full time. We actually do different things as well. But honestly, if you were to stop working, I would take over. I think my work hours would go up to 25, 30 hours a week, not 40.
Yeah.
So we're just moving forward a little bit faster because we have two different, like we are that's what we want as a lifestyle. We still want to be in our business. So yeah, we want to make sure that we can grow ourselves out of the business, but we want to scale ourselves into the business where we really want to be, and so that we are doing what we love doing.
Yeah. My goal is to get to like somewhere between 12 and 16 hours during this year.
Yeah. Yeah, then we can play golf, and then we can
play more golf,
take care of our ranch and travel and do all the stuff that is also important for us, while making sure that our client still gets the same kind of breakthroughs 100%. Without us being there. Yeah. And something that I will never scale myself out of is the meeting our people.
No, that's
hanging
the
out.
Fun stuff.
Exactly. So that's the goal. Aim myself into hanging out more with the people that we help.
Yeah. So if you like this episode,
give it a thumbs up.
Start following it.
Like and subscribe. And if you want to find us in our Facebook group or on Instagram. See you guys next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Central European Summer Time.